Hello everyone, JRDL96 here with a brand new video. As you can tell by the title, it's another story time video. Now, it's been a while since we've done a story time video. The reason why there hasn't been a story time in a while is because of the fact that I was really busy with the vlogs at the time for my cruise that I was on, and also Fanatics Fest and Comic-Con. So apologies for the sudden hiatus on the story time series, literally 2 episodes in. But here we are again with another storytime video. As you can tell by the title, it's related to the big event. You might be confused with the title here because I already talked about my experience at the big event back in March. But they do this convention like 2 times a year, so this is for the second time around. So let's get started with this. So back in March, I went to this convention called the Big Event, where I met 7 people that day. I met Sky Blue, Kurt Angle, Velvet Sky, Kelly, JoJo Offerman, Tori Wilson, and Big Show. I met a lot of people that day. I knew going into this, I wasn't going to try to meet that many people this time around, depending on who was there. My preparations for the event in November was simple. I wanted to just go for at least a minimum of 4 people. The other thing about the one back in March was that MJF was supposed to be at the one in March, but he canceled literally the week before the event was supposed to take place. They did state that they were going to try to bring him back for November, so I was hoping that they would bring back MJF for the one in November. At that time, I had to prep up for the cruise, so I didn't have time to really, follow along with updates from them at the time. But it wasn't until I was on the cruise, when I was literally eating dinner, I happened to check on my phone through the cruise ship's Wi-Fi that MJF was announced for the big event in November. I was like, alright, he's there, but hopefully he doesn't cancel this time. That was like the biggest fear going into this one. I wasn't sure if he was going to cancel again like he did last time. I was just thinking in my head, like, I guess he just doesn't want to meet me at all. He saw my name, he's like, oh shit, that guy. I don't know. After I got back from my cruise, I eventually got the time to buy a fast pass for the big event and also the combo for MJF, which includes a autograph and a photo op with him. So I was like, okay, I got MJF. Who else are they going to bring? Like, they're probably going to bring some of the familiar people that I probably met beforehand. They're probably going to bring in other people that I don't really know about. Who else could you bring there? But then they hit us with a big announcement. Even shocked the hell out of me when I first saw this. Paul Heyman. They announced Paul Heyman was going to be there. And I was like, holy shit. The wise man, he's going to be there? As far as I know, I don't think Paul Heyman has ever done conventions. Like, he rarely does. He rarely does signings. So I was like, alright, I'll keep him in mind, because I was like, knowing MJF, he'll probably have a long line, and Heyman will have a line out the fucking door. Like, I knew I had to set up a game plan if I was going to get Paul Heyman as well. I literally waited until the week before the actual event took place to actually get my tickets for Paul Heyman. I had one more other person initially on my maybe list, because I was like, I kind of know him mostly from his YouTube stuff, from What Culture Wrestling and stuff. Simon Miller. I already had Simon Miller on my maybe list, because I was like, depending on how long it takes for me to get MJF and Paul Heyman, if I have enough time, I'll go to Simon Miller and meet him, and then that'll probably be it. And I also knew that Thunder Rosa was going to be there too. They had a lot of guests there. They had Kurt Angle again. They had also Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin, so they had a Team Angle reunion. They had a couple guys from ECW like Jerry Lynn, and they also had the Dudleys, Dimos and Teal Piper, the daughter of Roddy Piper. The girl that was Aaliyah in WWE, and also Xia Li was there. Big Show was there again. The Inspiration was there. Sexy Star. I don't know if it's the same Sexy Star that tried to intentionally injure Rosemary, or it might be some other Sexy Star that has the same name now. I don't know. Sky Blue was there again. Also Queen Aminata was there. So there was familiar people that I met before, but also a bunch of newer people there. Then came the day for the big event. So I got there around 8:30. It's the same venue, the Brentwood Arena in Suffolk, in the parking lot of this community college. And I waited another 10 minutes before I got outside because it was a little chilly. I got online, and for the next hour, oh my god, I was only wearing my CM Punk hoodie and jeans. I didn't have any other layers on. But after about an hour of waiting, we finally were able to be let inside. I don't know if they did this last time, but this time around, they would let in a certain amount of people in, wait for them to get through, and then bring in the next group. It was like little groups of people for Fast Pass. So after like waiting for another like 5 minutes, I don't think I got inside the building until around 9:45 at least. So immediately I just head straight to Paul Heyman's booth. Here's the thing about Paul Heyman's booth. This is what it looked like. He had his own little booth, and there was curtains blocking him out, so you couldn't see him in public like the rest of the booths were. It was kind of interesting to see like this setup. When I got up to that booth area to check in, essentially to get my tickets for both the pro photo op and the autograph, the girl who was in charge told me that the pro photo op will also be in that same area that Paul Heyman is doing the autographs in. So he had his own little booth for the pro photo op and autograph. He didn't have to move because they had a separate, curtained off area for the pro photo ops for everybody else. So after I got my tickets for both the autograph and pro photo op, I immediately just jumped online because I didn't see MJF there. So I was like, all right, let me just get Paul Heyman out of the way. I wanted to just get him out of the way. So I was standing in line near this area where it was curtained off, where I guess all the wrestlers that were there would occasionally have their lunch break or whatnot. And right in front of that was a table for ECW legend Sandman. The guy with the Singapore cane that would drink a beer and bash the can on his head a bunch of times. Yeah, that guy. The guy that would come out to Enter Sandman by Metallica. Here's an interesting thing that happened while we were waiting online. So at one point, Sandman approaches us and asked us how much did it cost us to get Paul Heyman's autograph. And we said around $90, and then Sandman just goes, he should have probably got you guys for $100 or something along those lines. And then he walked away, and then that was it. And we just look at each other like, the fuck? Okay. We were just like, okay, whatever. It took us a while to finally start moving in line because I guess they were waiting for Paul Heyman to get ready to start doing the autographs and shit. Here's the other thing about the pro photo ops. Paul Heyman had 2 pro photo op sessions. One at 11:30 and then the other one at 1:30. We're still waiting in line, and then we started seeing some of the guys coming from the other room. We saw Bobby Lashley come out. We saw MJF come out. We saw the Dudley show up as well. We saw Kurt Angle come out with Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. We saw MVP come out as well. Here's the other thing that confused the shit out of me, because there was this lady that would occasionally come up and down the line asking us to get our photos ready, but also she said also get your markers ready. And I'm like, wait, he doesn't have Sharpies there? We have to bring our own markers? That's a little garbage, don't you think? The other thing I guess is different this time around. I don't remember paying a certain amount of money for these 8x10s, but on top of the $90 fucking dollars that you had to pay for the autograph itself, you had to pay another $5 to get one of the photos that's on the table. What a load of shit. Like, I don't have the time to look for a great photo online and to get it printed like this. Fuck that. This is the photo I ended up getting, right here. I just loved how this photo looked. So it's because it shows Paul Heyman through the years, when he was Paulie Dangerously, ECW. It was a nice looking photo. So after nearly an hour of just waiting online, finally the time came. Luckily though, there was markers on the table that Paul Heyman was signing the photos on. And I was kind of a little starstruck seeing him in the flesh like this. It isn't the first time I saw him up close and personal, because literally a few months back at Fanatics Fest, as I was looking at this one specific little booth of just these little pennant flags you could get made, Paul Heyman literally walked by me to get ready for his interview with Sam Roberts. It was one of those quick interactions because I was kind of a little intimidated by him, not gonna lie. So he grabs the photo and signs it, and he's like, beautiful! And I go, oh yeah, that's a beautiful picture, because the photo is so goddamn cool looking. And he's like, oh no, beautiful signature, come on, as I shake his hand and stuff. And that was it. That was like the first interaction that we had together. And it was like one of those quick interactions, and that was it. So after I got Paul Heyman's done, I saw MJF's line was kind of a little small at that point, so I was like, alright, let me get to MJF's line now. I was also kind of nervous about my interaction with MJF, because I've heard the stories and I've seen the videos online of how he treats his fans. He could be a dick. That's his character. How is he going to treat people here on Long Island? This is his neck of the woods. This is Long Island, New York. This is his hometown area. So I wonder how he's going to treat us. Obviously, I was proven wrong that he was going to still treat us like shit. Even though it was Long Island, he still treated us like absolute shit. Again, just like Paul Heyman, I had to pay an additional $5 for the 8x10. And this particular one, I grabbed, like, I guess the last copy they had on the table. I grabbed the last one they had of this specific photo of him. MJF really has become one of my favorites in AEW. I became a fan of MJF after his amazing feud with CM Punk back in late 2021, early 2022. That feud was absolutely phenomenal. Probably one of the best feuds in AEW history. Period. I don't care. That was a phenomenal feud. The back and forth they had with each other was fucking great. The build up to the very first match in Chicago was stellar, and especially the build up to the dog collar match at Revolution was fucking cinema. The promo he had where he talked about his childhood and his upbringing, where he got bullied by a bunch of kids in school, and when the day he met Punk, from that infamous picture of him when he was a kid meeting Punk. Oh god, it was so good. And then the dog collar match was fucking great too. So the time came for me to finally meet him, and again, he was kind of a dick. He was like, "What's up?" And then I finally told him I became a fan of his because of his feud with CM Punk. And then he responded to me saying, "Well, that guy's a piece of shit." Oh my god. And I was like, okay. And I didn't want to argue, so I was like, alright. And then I got in for the photo, and he looked really thrilled taking this photo. He really looked really happy to be there. I'm being sarcastic because he had this look on his face like, get this over with. So I thanked him by giving him a fist bump. He really hit me hard with that fist bump. It didn't hurt, but he really put some force into that fist bump that I gave him. And that was it. I think I had probably the tamest interaction with MJF by far, because I've seen videos online being way worse with other fans. Like, he gave a kid a middle finger at a convention back in 2019. He told a guy in a wheelchair to stand up as he stood up. Can you do this? Can you do this? I'm like, dude, this fucking asshole. He's such a fucking scumbag. Even with this MJF Long Island shirt, he still was a dick to me. He's one of those rare guys in wrestling that is committed to the role that he's playing. He's committed to being that character that he portrays on TV. He's a scumbag. He's a piece of shit. He's a dick. So that's him. That's just him. So anyways, after I met MJF, it was around 12 o'clock. And I knew I had plenty of time before Paul Heyman's pro photo op at 1:30. So I was like, alright, let me look for Simon Miller. Because I was like, alright, I have plenty of time to meet Simon Miller. I'm going to go do that. Simon Miller's table was on the opposite side of where Paul Heyman was. So literally, their view was the giant line for Paul Heyman with the booth at the very end. They were on the opposite side of where Paul Heyman was. I wanted to check what his price was. For a combo, he was $30 for a combo. From what I've heard, this was his first convention that he's been at. And here's the thing about Simon Miller. If you don't know who he is mostly known from What Culture Wrestling. He occasionally does voiceover, top 10 videos, and he also does the Ups and Downs series for episodes of Raw, SmackDown, and also AEW. He's on there a lot, and I didn't know this. He's also a pro wrestler himself. He just won a championship, I think, in Progress Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't know that he was a pro wrestler. I had no idea. I thought he was just a guy that liked going to the gym. I thought he was just a bodybuilder and shit that just happened to be a wrestling fan. That really shows you how much I follow the indie wrestling scene. I don't really follow it heavily like everyone in the internet wrestling community does. I'm more of a casual wrestling fan that mostly just watches WWE and sometimes AEW, so. Simon Miller is a pretty chill dude, I gotta be honest with you. He is a really chill dude. Like, I even told him, I didn't know you were a wrestler too. I only know you from What Culture. And he told me, yeah, I have been kind of doing it on and off the last couple of years. Like, I guess he had some injuries earlier in his career that kind of put his career on hold for a while. And I guess he just recently came back to wrestling. Like, I know he was in TNA for a bit last year. He had a match in TNA last year. That was the first time I kind of heard that he was wrestling, was TNA. And I was like, oh shit, he wrestles? That was like the first time I kind of heard about his wrestling career. And while I'm talking to him and stuff, Thunder Rosa is at the same table with him. So here is the photo that Simon Miller signed for me, and he actually inscribed it to me, which is nice. While Simon Miller is signing my photo, Thunder Rosa grabs her phone and starts filming me for her vlog, asking me what do I think about Simon Miller. As far as I remember, because the vlog hasn't come out yet, I think I said something along the lines of, I think he's a pretty cool guy. I find his personality pretty interesting, especially in his What Culture videos and stuff. I think I said something along those lines. After that, we took the photo together right here. Pretty cool stuff. He is a pretty chill dude. He seems like a guy that you just want to hang out with at a bar and just chit chat about the world. Just like Jacksepticeye. So by the time I was done with Simon Miller, it was close to 12:45. So I had to go back to the pro photo op for Paul Heyman. And while I was waiting for Paul Heyman, I just couldn't help but think about how awesome it was to see Thunder Rosa do that. It was very awesome to see Thunder Rosa just film for her vlog, like asking me what I thought about Simon Miller. Like, to be very supportive for Simon Miller. I just felt that was very heartwarming to see. Thunder Rosa just came off like a sweetheart to me. She really did. Like, I kind of felt bad I didn't meet Thunder Rosa as well. And I was like, in that moment while I was waiting for Paul Heyman's pro photo op, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go meet Thunder Rosa once I'm done with Paul Heyman's pro photo op. So when I got to the line for Paul Heyman, there was only like one woman standing there. The line just kind of began. So pretty much I was at the start of the line for the 1:30 session. Somehow I ended up being the first person in line, which to me was bizarre. But I was like, alright. So when I went into the booth for the photo op, Paul Heyman was in the middle of a conversation with somebody. I don't know who. I guess somebody was working for the big event. I have no idea. I didn't want to be rude or anything. I didn't want to like just jump in as he's in the middle of a conversation. I wanted to wait until he was officially done with his conversation with the guy to officially start moving towards Paul Heyman. After I think he's done with the conversation, that's when I start to move. He was asking the guy, "Are you good?" And the guy goes, "Yeah." And then he looks at me and he goes, "How you doing?" As he shakes my hand, and I said, "I'm good." And then he looks at the guy he was talking to before. He's like, "See, he's good." Another thing too was, I guess I was a little too far away from him at that point. And he's like, what are you doing? Why are you gonna be so far away from me? So I kind of moved a little bit closer. I didn't want to be too close and shit. So we took the photo right here. Awesome fucking shit. So after that, I shook his hand and I thanked him for him introducing me to CM Punk when he debuted in ECW back in 2006. And that's when he responded, "I appreciate that, an absolute pleasure." And that was it. And then I grabbed my stuff and then waited for the photo to get printed. There it is, right there. Who would have thought that I would meet the wise man over here? Pretty cool stuff. I'm not gonna lie, he's pretty intimidating. That's probably why I wasn't too close to him initially. So after I was done with the pro photo op for Paul Heyman, I already made the decision while waiting for the pro photo op that I was going to also meet Thunder Rosa, because I was kind of touched by how nice she was and how down to earth she is. I kind of got guilt tripped by her kindness. Let's be fair. So while I was waiting for her, the people working for the Damage 365 looked at me as she was being such a sweetheart to somebody else who was in line. One of the guys looked at me and goes, "She's like this a lot." So that was kind of funny. So the time finally came for me to meet Thunder, and I even told her, "Hey, I'm back after I met him earlier. I wanted to also meet you too because of the fact of you filming me for your vlog and also just how nice you are and how sweet you are." She's like, "Oh, I appreciate that." So I got this signed by her. It says, I can't speak Spanish for the life of me. I kind of recognize the La Mera Mera. I think that means badass in Spanish. So while she's signing this, my stuff is on the same table that she's signing it. And she sees my photo with Paul Heyman. And she goes, "Oh, you met Paul Heyman?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did." Then it came for the photo. And this is where a funny moment happened while taking the photo. As we were taking the photo, I guess she started to smell my cologne that I had on that day. I was kind of surprised at the fact that my cologne was still noticeable because it was kind of a long day and I didn't really sweat as much. So she started smelling my cologne. She's like, "Oh, you smell so good." And she went to smell me again. I was just thinking to myself, oh my God. I found it pretty funny. I wasn't offended or anything. I just found it pretty funny. And I joked with her saying, I'm already taken. She kind of found that funny too. And that's when she told me, like, you know how it is with people at conventions. They sweat a lot at conventions. So that's why she was kind of surprised at that. I knew what she meant and stuff. So that was a pretty funny thing. And then she said, tell your significant other that you smell really good. After that, I gave her a hug and that was it. I gotta be honest with you. I think Thunder Rosa is by far probably the nicest, sweetest, down-to-earth person I have met, ever. I think the person that comes very close is Jacksepticeye. I couldn't believe how nice she was. She is such a fucking sweetheart, man. Like, how can you hate her? I'm honestly happy that I ended up meeting her in the end. But after that, I kind of hung around for a little bit more, kind of checking out everybody else's booths at this point in time. And the other thing was, I kept seeing this guy all day long, walking around. There was this guy dressed up as the Fiend. Such an awesome fucking cosplay. Oh my god, I couldn't believe how good it was. Before I left, I had to get a photo with him. And here he is about to choke me out, I guess. I let the Fiend in. I let him in. I'm sorry, I had to let him in. He asked me nicely to let him in. That was all the people I met that day. But before I left, I saw another booth that had comic books. And this comic book caught my attention. This specific comic book caught my attention because this was the very first appearance of the Spider Armor from 1992. So this comic book initially cost $15 at this specific booth. But since he was closing up and stuff, he ended up giving it to me for $10. Which is nice of him to do. He didn't need to do that, but he did. So that was my experience at the second big event convention that I went to this year. So to recap, I got an autograph and a pro photo op with Paul Heyman. I got an autograph and photo with MJF, a autograph and photo with Simon Miller, and an autograph and photo with Thunder Rosa. Pretty cool experience that I will never forget, for sure. After this event, I realized how many people I met this year. I met 15 people this year. I met Sky Blue, Kurt Angle, Velvet Sky, Kelly Kelly, Jojo Offerman, Tori Wilson, Big Show, CM Punk, Rey Mysterio, Joe Hendry, Jacksepticeye, Paul Heyman, MJF, Simon Miller, and Thunder Rosa. 15 people I've met this year. That's fucking insane to me. I can't even believe it myself. It's fucking insane to me. I do know that they will be coming back in March once again. So, am I going to be going to the one in March? Absolutely. I'm definitely going to be going to the one in March. But I'm kind of debating with myself if I should cosplay this time around. If I should cosplay as CM Punk at the next big event they have in March of next year. I'm kind of debating with myself if I should do that. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see, I guess. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this storytime video. So the next storytime video I'm hoping to do is the story of me getting my first tattoo. Because of the fact that I recently gotten 2 tattoos this year, I thought it'd be appropriate. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's storytime video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, share this video with your friends. Be sure to ring that bell to be part of the notification squad. Be sure to check out my Instagram because I make cool ads of Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, even myself. I also act as the cosplays on there, so go check it out. And be sure to check out my Tumblr and my Discord in the description as well. So until next time, JRDL96 signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.